Now, this weekend I had a long weekend away in North Yorkshire. Hopefully I've got the location right. But during my travels, I went to and we walked to a place called Brimham Rocks and Brimham Rocks. And that gave me a great idea of what I wanted to share with each of you in today's Monday's Moment video. Because as I looked at these rock formations you can see there on the screen, I realised that these rock formations had taken a vast amount of time. I can't even imagine to guess, tens of thousands, millions of years to form these rock formations through glaciers, rivers, etc. And it sort of took me back to something that somebody said to me when I was discussing the Bible's way of justifying creation in 7 days. And it's about our perspective. Because to a fly that only lives for 1 day, our lives of 70 years, 80 years, 90 years is eternal. In perspective to a fly that only lives just 1 day. Likewise, when I look at these rock formations that took this huge amount of time to be formed, the perspective of and the significance of me in my little timeline is so small. So we need to think about different people's perspective and our perspective when it comes to time. What do we feel is quick? What do we feel is slow? What do we feel is long? What do we feel is short? So I want you to think about time, and I want you to think about it in perspective to something like the rock formations that you see there. Now, whilst I was up at Brimham Rocks, I've decided to have an ice cream. And in this ice cream, she asked me, the lady who served me, if I wanted a chocolate flake, which I did. So I went for a twin scoop chocolate ice cream and white chocolate raspberry ice cream, I think it was, with a chocolate flake. I walked away, and after I'd walked away and sat down with my wife Angela, I realised that I didn't have the chocolate flake in my ice cream, and my hairs on my back of my neck stood up immediately. I thought, I've paid for that chocolate flake. But that also, in that that area of sitting down amongst these rock formations and thinking about perspective, gave me the second thing that I want you to think about today. Pick and choose your battles. Because I could have gone back there, I could have queued, because it was a long queue, for another half an hour just to get there to complain that I hadn't got the chocolate flake that was 75 pence. And I really miss my chocolate flake, but was it really worth spoiling that moment, taking all that time out in the midst of this great fantastic place, getting all wound up, poisoning myself with all different chemicals that would probably go through my body, just to actually complain about the fact that I hadn't got a chocolate flake? Now, some of you might comment below this video, yes, absolutely, you should have gone for it. But I want you to give a different perspective. Choose your battles. And I did that with a client this morning. He's going through an appraisal process very shortly. And we went through this appraisal process and straight away became very sort of, yes, I need to deal with this. No, I need to deal with that. And I said, just pick your battles. Choose your battles. Pick the items out that are really important to you and win on those and go after those. But those that aren't so important, let them go. Pick and choose your battles. Perspective number 2. The other thing to then think about are other people's perspective. So whilst we were also in the area, we went along to a place, a fabulous place called Fountains Abbey. And there are some remarkable buildings there. And there we are looking at the wonderful Royal Water Gardens. And there's this beautiful building overlooking the water gardens. And in the area, they've created this inflatable art. I think they've been doing it in Hull as well, somebody mentioned. But they've got this inflatable art. And coming out of this beautiful building, you can see there in the distance are these sort of sparks, or it looks like an explosion that's come out of this building. And that made me realise very much that it might not be what I like, but from somebody else's perspective, that probably was amazing. And some of the kids were loving it because there was other inflatable art around the place. And that gave me my third lesson on perspective, that very often we have to consider that other people have a different perspective to us. And when we're leading people, when we're managing people, we have to think about these three areas. But most importantly, we have to consider that other people have a different perspective. And that doesn't mean that it's right or wrong, but it's the way that they look at it. The way that some people choose to look at art is different to my way. And I love art. Yeah. And I can consider and appreciate other people's perspective. And sometimes in our business, we need to do the same. We need to consider other people's perspective. But at the same time, we also have to pick and choose our battles. And we have to look at the perspective of is this worth us putting effort into? Is this worth putting time into? And then we have to look at that very important third perspective of time. How long will it take? Is the time that I'm giving for something to be done the same as what somebody else will see is achievable? So think about the three perspectives: time, picking and choosing your battles, and also the most important one, consider other people's perspectives too. Now, if you've got a tip that you'd like to share, if you'd like to be somebody who shares a lesson with a wider audience, not on video, so don't worry about that, it's an audio recording, I'd love to have you as a guest on my podcast. And also you can search and listen to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, all the main platforms. Just search for Sterling or Sterling's Business Success and Coffee Podcast. If you want to be a guest, message me below this. That would be absolutely great. Or you can go to the link coffeewithsimon.com and schedule a recording there. Or you can listen to the podcast and leave me a review there. That would be great too. But I love sharing tips like this, and I'd love you to share tips with other people just like you that are out there. That would be absolutely amazing. I hope that this perspective has really inspired you to think about time, to think about the battles that we have to choose, and to think about the other side of perspectives that other people might have. And I look forward to seeing you on next week's Monday's Moment video. Bye for now.